Everything just changed. We had a lot of banger fights yesterday, and we need to talk all about them, their outcomes, and their potential implications. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. This is MMA 365, the greatest UFC news YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe, especially because a beaver has given Yuri Prohaska 12 labors to complete in order for Yuri to get esoteric wisdom. And in order for Yuri to know and complete these labors, you need to hit that subscribe button. Thank you. So, I want to talk all about this fight night and more, but first of all, in the prelims, there was a pretty banger knockout by Nikolai Veretennikov against Nico Price. I would look up that finishing sequence if you didn't already. That that was really sick. But looking at the main card, opening it up, Dustin Jacoby knocked out Julius Walker. This I thought was a late stoppage. I mean, Walker ate a big punch and seemed to be in complete la la land, but the referee didn't call it until a few seconds later. So Julius Walker absorbed more damage than I would have liked. But this is big for Dustin Jacoby. He's on a streak now. I believe he's got 4 wins, and not just wins, but knockouts in a row. And I know he's sort of adopted a gatekeeper status, but at this point, he could fight in the rankings. I mean, he's kind of on like a nice little Charles Johnson-esque run right now. So I think a ranked opponent could be next for just Dustin Jacoby. And as for Julius Walker, I mean, there's no shame in losing, but this definitely is a step down for him. He didn't look too great, so I'd say this is to be expected. I mean, this is only his ninth pro fight, so you figure that he does have more to learn, more to develop. In the bantamweight fight on the main card, this one was really back and forth. It was a split decision. Fareed Basharat got the win over Jean Matsumoto, and I'd say next up for Basharat could be a ranked opponent. There's a ranked bantamweight on the main card who lost the fight. We'll get to in a few minutes. Then Mikhail Olashechuk won against Marc-Andre Barrio. This is what I expected at one performance of the night. Both of these guys were swinging and banging, and this was a fun watch. It was a 29-28 Olashechuk, I believe. He did just enough to edge out the fight in the third round, and yeah, he's also, I think, he's on a winning streak, but I just don't really know how much more he has to his game aside from throwing power punches. Uh, both of these fighters put on a good show, and then going to the featured fight and the co-main and main event, Jailton Almeida, buddy, I think it's over. I do. He lost against Rizvan Kuniev, and this was really boring. Boring. Um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of clinching. They both pointed to the middle of the octagon, like Max Holloway, and then neither of them threw a punch. I mean, what are we doing, guys? No, Jailton Almeida is a good grappler, but his last fights have been snooze fests and has been working for him. He's lost against Volkov, and now he lost against Kuniev. I mean, it appears in year 2026, Rizvan Kuniev could be a top 6, top 8 heavyweight, which is kind of mind-boggling. But I'm the UFC. I mean, they've cut heavyweight fighters for less. I don't necessarily agree with it, but Biggie Boy Rosenstrike, he got cut for being boring. They cut Hamdi Abdelwahab for also being boring. Um, yeah, I mean, the heavyweight division is extremely thin, and well, Hilton Almeida kind of showed last night that he isn't exactly in the top contender status anymore. So I really think this could be the end of the road for him in the UFC, simply because not only has he been losing, but been putting up stinkers, snooze fests. I relegated this fight to the background. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'd put another thing on the TV, and I was paying some attention, but yeah, there was no point in the fight where I was like really enthralled or enamored. So if I were the UFC, I'd have some tough conversations about Jailton Almeida and what his place really is in the heavyweight division. But moving on to some good news, Kyoji Horiguchi won over Amir Albazi. Just completely pieced him up over 3 rounds. Albazi couldn't get any wrestling going really, and Horiguchi just completely won in the stand-up. Albazi was bleeding all over by the end of the fight, and this is huge because Horiguchi's kind of cemented himself now right among the Manel Kopps and Tatsuro Tairas of the world. So now there's looking like a very strong top 5 or so in the flyweight division with Joshua Van, Alexander Pantoja when he comes back, Tatsuro Taira, Manel Kopp, and Horiguchi now, I'd say, is on that status. So I'm curious to see what's next up. I heard some buzz of a UFC Japan card. I would really like to see that. And in that case, then ideally you get both Horiguchi and Tatsuro Taira to fight. Maybe not against each other. I don't know if they have any personal connections, but that would be a really fun time. And in the Paramount era, they're itching for a big event outside of the White House. So yeah, if I were the UFC, that's something that I would work on. And lastly, the main event to talk about, Mario Bautista. He looked fantastic and completely outclassed Vinicius Oliveira. I mean, there's levels to this, and Mario Bautista just looked completely a level above Vinicius Oliveira. Oliveira, he gassed out pretty quickly in round 2, and Bautista had a really sick finishing sequence in the grappling. He got takedowns in multiple positions and tried to land a few different submission attempts. There was like a really sick flow sequence, and then he finally got Oliveira with the rear naked choke, and he tapped out very quickly once Bautista got into position. And I mean, this just confirms that Mario Bautista is among the elites at bantamweight. And though he was ranked number 9, I thought that was too low. And I know he's got some flack in the past for being boring, but he's on a nice little redemption tour right now because he fought against Umar. He lost a competitive and entertaining decision, and now he put on a fun fight against Vinicius Oliveira. Bautista, he called out Corey Sandhagen next. I think that would be a good fight, especially because Bautista had lost to Sandhagen in the past, so it would be a chance to avenge that loss. As for Vinicius Oliveira, well, Basharat deserves a ranked opponent. Oliveira is ranked 14th. They're on the same timeline about. They fought on the same card. I'd say that's a pretty slam dunk matchup for the UFC to make. Yeah, as for Bautista, I think either Corey Sandhagen or Song Yadong would be great next steps for him. But yeah, I know Mario Bautista put up kind of a stinker against Jose Aldo, but his last 2 fights, he's looked really good, and I'd say he belongs now as a top bantamweight, undeniably. Last thing I want to talk about, this is from PFL Dubai yesterday afternoon. Ramazan Nurmagomedov, he got a fantastic win over Shamil Musayev. Musayev had a lot of hype as one of the best welterweights outside of the UFC, but Nurmagomedov completely dominated this fight, won the majority, if not all of the rounds, and Musayev had a foul towards the end to further accentuate the gap on the scorecards. Nurmagomedov announced after the fight that he'd be retiring, but he's only 29 years old. I do think that if the UFC came calling, I would consider it. He did sustain a broken arm in this fight, but still, I'd say he's young enough where the UFC can give him a chance within reason. And then lastly, Usman Nurmagomedov got this big submission win over Alfie Davis. Kind of just looked completely outclassed, and then Usman got a pretty sick choke to finish the fight. And if I were the UFC, I'd just give Usman Nurmagomedov a blank check. I mean, he's from the superstar family of mixed martial arts. In the past, kind of the problem was that Islam Makhachev was dominating the lightweight division. If you're just looking at the UFC lightweight rankings, then the prospect pool kind of feels thin. It's kind of the awkward transitioning phase between the old guard and the new guard, but I really think the best lightweight prospect right now is not in the UFC. It's because it's Usman Nurmagomedov. So I feel like he's undeniably sort of graduated from PFL status to the UFC, and I really want to see him get a step up in competition because his last few fights, he's just looked so much better than his opponents. No disrespect to them. But yeah, I mean, if I were the UFC, I'd say this is becoming pretty undeniable. Let's sign Usman Nurmagomedov. Let's give him a ranked opponent and let's see what he can do. So that'll conclude this video for now. Thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe because Yuri Prohaska is going to perform 12 labors given to him from the wise Sage Beaver, and you need to help him out. You need to hit that subscribe button. Thank you.